Hi, this is Kelsey Blaho, and for Module 10, we'll be doing a case study. So this first section is just a summary of the case to establish facts. So to summarize, there's a school where the principal is meeting with a newly formed parent committee. There used to be a parent committee that was really helpful, knew their boundaries and knew what they were allowed to do and did it well. This new committee wants to be way more involved in the decision process for various things. They tossed out the idea of back to school night and parent teacher conferences in order to alleviate some confusion from prior years. So just more involvement from teachers, more of a Q&A from parents. They thought it'd be a good idea to have a night where parents could get more information, ask more questions. There was already a meeting that had occurred without the principal, and that had really bothered him that he wasn't a part of it. They had created committees around discipline, teacher performance, curriculum, and school evaluation. And these other committees would meet regularly. The principal has to decide kind of how to respond in the future and continue the conversation further about boundaries and kind of what the parents are responsible for versus the teachers. So that's just kind of a summary. So what didn't happen, the parent committee wasn't formed with the principal, so there was a lot of kind of miscommunication there. There wasn't a discussion with the principal and the parents beforehand, and decisions were kind of already being made when all parties weren't present. And then there weren't boundaries that were set before about what parents would do and what the principal would do. And then when and where certain events occurred, there was not specific information on the situation or kind of where this story occurred. And then who might be involved? So it could be parents, teachers, students, admin, board members, community members. So it could be pretty much everybody. And then what do the parties involved have to say about it? Parents are very involved with this because they're a part of this committee. They want a lot of things to change. And then the principal is pretty unsure of what to do next. Wants some involvement, but not a lot from parents. So just trying to figure out those boundaries. So there's kind of some mixed messages here. Section 2, legal and ethical issues. So I don't think there were any legal issues, but I think there might have been some ethical issues in terms of asking teachers to do too much, not really abiding by the boundaries for the parent involvement with the committee. And then I don't think anyone was harmed in this. There might be some kind of hurt feelings, but no one was harmed. And then the action or situation does not, again, break any laws. It might just break some of the ethics of the parent group, but no laws. Was there a breach of contract? Again, there wasn't, but I think there might have been some in terms of the boundaries within the parent committee. So I think there was some there, especially since the principal was left out of some of the discussions and decisions. Was there any discriminatory action or harassment? I think if it was left unresolved and they were just kind of back and forth from the principal, there might have been some harassment in that regard, but there was no discrimination. Section 3, just a synthesis of what happened. There was a principal left out of parent group meeting where they discussed more school involvement and more answers to various questions they had about the school. Section 4, evaluate the missing facts. So some other people that might be involved are other board members, community members, school staff, and students. Place. We were not really given too much information about the school, where it was located, or even what type of school. And then programs, there weren't too many specifics about programs. All we know is that there was a parent group, and they talked about teachers as well. It's important to identify some of this information so that we can get a big picture of what's happening. I think the response might be different versus if it was at an elementary school versus a high school private school. So that could change a little bit. So I think that definitely affects some of the reaction and kind of response to what to do next. Section 5, review and prioritize information. So prioritize things that I would do is get to know the parents on a deeper level. I know since that component was kind of missed, I'd still find a way to get to know the parents, and then develop a new set of ground rules if possible so that everyone's kind of on the same page. Discuss ideas and things that the parents want to know more about, so kind of get more feedback and kind of come to that conclusion of what are the different groups and kind of decide that as an entire group rather than just the parents. And then create rules and boundaries for teachers, and then give boundaries for the parents as well, because I think that's really important so that everyone's all on the same page and that teachers aren't being overworked as well. How would I have handled that situation? So kind of looking at some of those priorities more in depth. So again, I want to make sure that this issue is being included and brought up right away, and maybe include some of the students, especially in kind of what they want from their school, and kind of have them a part of that conversation, at least maybe in some of the meetings. And then again, trying to make sure that all the parents are heard. So we've had that conversation of what might be lacking, what things we want to do, and then just making sure that the parent population is diverse, making sure that a lot of the students are represented in the parent meetings. And then make sure various topics are discussed, such as the financial side of things, equity and equality and inclusion in the classroom. And then, like I mentioned, building relationships with parents and really hear out what they want and what they feel like their students need. And there would be a written record of the agreements discussed, communicate via email, creating a paper trail, create a conversation on the various changes that are wanting to be changed, communicate orally and written to the staff about what is happening. So not only with the parents, but also the teaching staff as well, so that, again, everyone's on the same page. 7, evaluate my plan. So just kind of looking more in depth at it. So the biggest thing is to get to know the parents and what they want, like I mentioned, getting to know the families, the community, set boundaries, and I think I've hit all of these different boxes on the right with my plan. So developing my plan, thinking through like what works, what doesn't work. I thought the process was fairly easy. Again, boundaries, hierarchy set, like who's kind of in charge, who's running it, what role does the parents play. And I think my biggest focus would be the relationship building component. But I think kind of some things that maybe would go wrong if this plan were to happen, and kind of as I was thinking through it, what might come up, or I feel like some of the parents would probably disagree, and maybe not be super pumped about all the boundaries, but again, I want it to be a collaborative effort so that we could all come to a consensus somewhere where we could meet in the middle. So there might be kind of some maybe people that might be a little bit upset at first, but I think this needs to happen. Section 9, how did I implement my plan? So again, get to know the parents, develop ground rules, discuss ideas, create rules and boundaries. And like I said, the parents might get really upset, feeling their voices aren't being heard, but trying to have that, give them space for that. On the other hand, they could be really supported and encouraged and still want to be a part of the group. I think the other admin need to be a part of the conversation as well from the beginning. So it's not just me as a principal being up there, but having other support too from the school staff, and then maybe even including students. I think parents for sure need to know what is going on, what the plan is, so that, again, everyone's on the same page. And then, like I mentioned, having admin be there. So I would choose one admin to help mediate and be a part of that conversation of moving forward. So let's say the parent group has already met and done this, but having admin and maybe another parent kind of be a part of that conversation to help facilitate. So this isn't working. How can we move forward with new boundaries, ground rules, just so we can have someone kind of mediate who's maybe a little bit not quite in part of the conversation yet. So I think that could be really helpful to make sure everyone's kind of on the same page. And then if they don't agree with the rules, I would potentially just get rid of the parent group and start over with hiring some new set of people. That's like worst case scenario. But I think this could be an option if we couldn't simply agree on the boundaries. Section 10, these are just my standards and how things correlate to what we've been talking about. And then here's my references. Thank you.